What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Drink Up, a college rugby pod. My name is Zach Lanning, and I am here, as I have always been and will always be, with my buddy Colby Marshall. Colby, what's going on? How you doing?
Zach, I think we're soulmates. I think we were destined to do this for the rest of our lives. I'm doing great. I can't complain. We're back as the dynamic duo on The Drink Up. MLR Draft is tomorrow. Exciting times. We're going to have on Aaron Gray later in the episode to talk about what he's been doing, how he's been preparing for the possibility of playing pro rugby in a couple of months. I mean, he's a guy that is a USA All-American. He won Rugby Back of the Year for Rugby East in 2019 and is a USA Falcon, has a lot of experience playing at a high level in the sevens game. And so he's somebody that I can't wait to meet and can't wait to talk to. But
yeah, I'm with you, Colby. I am really excited to kind of, chat with him about his game, just watching his highlights and seeing just how silly he makes dudes look on the other team. I'm hoping he doesn't do that to me on the pod. It's a little, obviously to be a little easier. But it was really just great to watch. And I'm looking forward to chatting with him later. And we got a lot of dope content coming, like that. We're going to have it all the time. So if you're listening for the first time, or if you listen to our first few episodes, just make sure you subscribe or rate, and review. Leave us some thoughts. Let us know how you feel. Anything we can do better. Don't be super mean. I'm a little sensitive. But, any thoughts that you think, you want to add to the pod, things we can do, talk about, we're super open to it. Like Colby said, we're obviously the best two college rugby podcasters in the game right now, but we are not we're not so not humble that we're above, kind of tweaking, making little tweaks like that. So we understand to be the best, you gotta maintain and constantly change your game. So
you stay grounded.
Right. Yeah, that's we're the best at being humble as well. So
balance is the key. Balance is the key. Matt McCarthy, take notes.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Hope you're listening in. But yeah, before we get into some draft stuff, before we get into the interview with Aaron, there is, not a lot of pro games happening, but there is a lot to talk about in the rugby world. It's kind of a crazy time, a lot of news coming out. So we're going to get into a segment that I'm going to trial balloon this right now with you, Colby. I kind of want to call our news section the big container. So I don't know, is that a term you're familiar with? It's something that from my college days that came about as a part of our drink ups or kind of our post-match celebrations. I'm not sure if that was something that you partook in as well or are familiar with.
Now, when I hear that, Zach, I'm imagining a bunch of rugby players in a big container, just bunched up together in a big container, all sweaty after a game. Like, what tell me more about this.
So, yeah, it wasn't necessarily us in the container, unless you want to call any of the off-campus basements we were in containers that probably, they were not large. But this is more a post-match beverage or two that you put into a large container. And then, again, this is pre-pandemic times. You take that big container and you kind of pass it around the team and you chant, "Who wants to drink from the big container?" And then you say someone's name as you kind of go around. So just kind of a fun team building thing, get everybody involved, kind of communal sharing of some libations after a game. Maybe not the most hygienic thing to do, but definitely a fun time. So
since you guys weren't winning trophies and couldn't drink out of trophies, how normal teams do, you did containers.
Touche. Yes, it was. We had to substitute some giant like Tupperwares that we use other times to steal leftovers from the cafeteria because we did not have any hardware to drink out of. We were damn happy about it. So we did our best with what we had at hand. I know you and Iona probably you guys had a whole wall of trophies to drink out of.
We had our fair share of conference championships. We played in a weaker conference, but we had our fair share. I don't think we ever got a trophy though, which is something that. We got sevens trophies, but they were too small to do anything with, to be honest.
That's what I tough. Like, with the MLR, you win the shield. It's tough to drink out of a shield, like, or the plate. If you're a plate finalist, you got to win the bowl, I think, which is like a third place thing in the game. So
there's some frosted flakes in that.
Yeah, exactly. That ends up being a cereal bowl for the team captain. But so we'll try it out. We'll call it the big container. I think it's it kind of contains all of the things we want to talk about around the rugby world.
Maybe we can ask our fans, our followers, see what they think.
Yes,
do a
definitely.
Twitter poll.
Oh, now you're talking. There's some social media up in here.
We'll see. Let's see what you guys think.
Yeah, we'll put it out to you guys. If you have better suggestions too, let us know. Anything from your college days. But let's now that we're going to trial balloon this, like I said, so let's get into it a little bit. In the big container today, we're going to start off with some. We talked about this on our show last week. The National Club Sevens results. That the Sevens tournament in Washington over the whole weekend last weekend. Winners for that on the men's side, the Chicago Lions. Kind of pulled off a bit of an upset against the home team in that. The Washington Athletic Club had a lot of MLR players, Cole Zarconi, Tommy Clark, a couple draft picks from last year's draft as well. But it was Chicago Lions that took it, and they again, so they were the champions on the men's side. And then on the women's side, it was Scion who just destroyed everybody in their wake. They won the final 40-0 over Life West, and then they outscored their opponents on the whole, across the tournament, 247-19, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, not a scoreline you want to be on the wrong end of. I don't believe.
So yeah, some great rugby played, across that weekend. It was good to see some college talent out there, some alumni come back and play with some of their teammates as well. I will just note, Colby, really quickly, I saw some complaints on Twitter about the quality of the broadcasting, and it frustrated me. I would just say to that, if you don't like what's happening, get involved, put your hand up. This is not it's a difficult time in the sport to kind of get these things going. Obviously this isn't the NFL. It's not a $1 billion operation. And if you think that guys like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck just stroll into the booth on Sundays, you're sadly mistaken. There's a lot of work that goes into that. They have pre-game meetings all week with coaches, players. They get producers feeding them information. They have spotters in the booth to, show them what's happening. They have 27 cameras with all these feeds and different angles on things. With a sevens tournament like this, you don't have that. You have some people who love the sport and are dedicated to the game, trying their best to spread that word. So I would say to those, I won't mention their names, although I will shout out Alex Corbacero, who did a great job on the mic that weekend and also is defending, the other broadcasters on Twitter, that if you think there can be something, done better, put your hand up and get involved other than, just complaining about it on Twitter.
If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's what your mama should have told you growing up.
We shouldn't be us on the drink up here, imparting that wisdom to you. But that is what you will get from us throughout the year. But yeah, you're exactly right, Colby. That's lesson number one, like day one stuff. So in other news, across the rugby world at the international level, Colby, the U.S. men's Eagles announced their roster for the World Cup qualifiers against Canada. A lot of big names on it. This is a really stacked team. Obviously, a lot of MLR players. A lot of old time, I don't want to say old timers, but a lot of experienced Eagles getting back into the lineup, some who didn't play in, those earlier tests against England and Ireland. Just to mention a couple, Nate Augsburger at scrum half, Dylan Fawcett, the butcher from Rugby United at hooker, didn't play in those earlier tests. AJ McGinty, our savior at fly half, returning from injury, should be a huge addition to the lineup as well. So a lot of really talented guys on that team.
Yeah, and Dylan Fawcett will be joined by Nate Brickley in that forward pack as well. Two Rugby United guys that are going to obviously have the chemistry of playing together. And, honestly, looking at this team, you could make an all-MLR team just from the names here, Zach. Mika Cruze, Ryan James, who had a great ending to the LA Giltinis season in that semifinal match where he scored the game-winning try. Luke Carty, Bryce Campbell. the list goes on. Andrew Guerrera, who won MLR Rookie of the Year. And he's someone that is going to benefit heavily from this experience playing for his national team at this level with these group of players. Cam Dolan as well. The list goes on. The list really goes on. And Hanko Hermesice. I hope Matt heard that one. That was a good pronunciation on my part, I think.
He would be very impressed. I am super pumped to see Hanko get some action. I know he didn't start that first test, but his work rate is just bananas. And, he changes games just on effort alone. And, he's a great runner, ball in hand, does a lot of the dirty work. Another guy, I don't want to make it too New York focused, but Ben Bonasso, who played really well for New York down the stretch as well, named to this roster. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table also. So you're right. Like, this could be, this is a who's who, especially in the front row. Dino Waldron, Chance Wingluski from Rugby ATL, who didn't play in those earlier tests, is going to be in this as well. Mikey Sosini Fungi. Yeah, it's crazy. Ryan Mattias from San Diego, who I thought had a really great year. So it's going to be fun to watch. And Canada did not look amazing in their few tests either. I think though we got absolutely destroyed by Ireland, looked a little bit better overall than Canada. So I think we have a really good chance in these upcoming couple of matches. Then we all do have the All Blacks on the horizon as well. I don't know if we have a chance in that one, but especially against Canada, I think we should do okay.
I mean, never say never. That All Blacks game is going to be interesting. Who knows? I mean, we have some of the best players in Major League Rugby on this team right now. Who knows? Miracles happen.
You never know. Yeah, that would be a miracle, man. I'm getting tickets.
The game's in DC. I was gonna say, are you gonna go?
I'm gonna go in case. I mean, the off chance there is a miracle, I don't think I would ever come home. I would just be partying like through, just stay in DC and live there and just party every day in celebration. Because that would be really something, and that would be huge for the program in this country. But it should be a good game either way. Get to see. I went to when the All Blacks played at Soldier Field in Chicago. This was a few years ago. Actually, probably more than a few. But I saw Richie McCaw coming out of the hotel, and he's just like, he was the 8-man for the All Blacks for a long time. Great player, just this huge beast. I've never it was such an experience to witness this just mountain of a man come out of this hotel. It was crazy. You could tell who he was, from far away, because he just dwarfed all the other people coming out of that hotel. So even just seeing, the All Blacks on the field is cool as well. If even if they end up wiping the floor with us, but I think, we could make it competitive.
Did you get the chance to say hello?
Dude, I was too I stayed across the street. I was like, no way, I can't go over there. He was so big. I was I was intimidated, and he didn't even look at me or anything. I was like, I'll just let him go about his day. I don't want to, because I knew if I went over, I would probably accidentally bump him or something and spill his coffee, and he would just destroy me in the middle of Chicago. So I tried to avoid any contact, but I just from afar I observed, and I was in awe. Probably a missed opportunity. I'll see this year. Maybe I'll get on the field, in the middle of the game and ask for some autographs. But
no, if you were to interact with him and you would have spilled his coffee, that would have been a great conversation starting point this year if you were to run into him again.
If I could even talk, I probably would have my jaw wired shut. I don't know if I would be
right. You have to take that into account.
Right. But so other news on the international front as well. The women's Eagles have announced that they're going to be playing 4 matches in a fall tune-up tour. They had the World Cup was supposed to be this summer in August, actually this month, pushed a year again, but that's coming. That's on the horizon. That's not that far away in the grand scheme of things. So they'll play a kind of a fall tour 15s with their first match confirmed against the Red Roses in England. So that, is something I'm really excited about. That's November 21st. They'll play that match. So I'm really excited to watch that as well. It has been a long time since we have seen some women's 15s at the U.S. international level. Seen a lot of their 7 squad, obviously, but it's been a very long time since we've seen some 15s. So that should be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Kirsty Kirsch can make an appearance for this team. She's a former soccer player and now a rugby player who had an amazing tournament in Tokyo for the sevens team. She's somebody that can just score tries, run through people. Very exciting to watch. Hopefully she can make a name for herself on this squad.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd love to see kind of what crossover they get from the 7 squad into the 15 side of things. Like Kirsty Kirsch, I think there's a lot of players that can, make that transition. One on my end being Ilona Marr, who, was playing really well in the sevens tournament as well. I think could definitely make an impact on the 15 side, if they do call her up for that. Just also then wanted to shout out Tess Fury, someone else I'm excited to watch. I spoke with her for an interview on Rugby Wrap Up a little while ago. She's from Jersey, got Jersey roots. She played at Penn State as well. And she had kind of dedicated herself, as did many of the players over the summer, to training full time for 15s, ahead of that World Cup, getting a lot of prep work in. So excited to see what she brings to the table. And then just Gabby Cantor is another name that I'm interested in hearing about. She tore it up for the Exeter Chiefs women's team over in Europe at Fly Half this year. So getting some international experience, she'll be a key cog, I think, in that 15s team as well. Some more MLR news as we start wrapping up the big container here. San Diego Legion have hired a full-time head coach in Danny Lee. So they had the co-coaches Scott Murray and Zach Test running things last season. Not everything went well for the Legion, obviously. A team that had been competitive for the first few seasons in the MLR struggled last year a little bit. So they'll bring in Danny Lee, a little change at head coach, and he'll also be the director of rugby, just a former All Black himself. His last stop coaching where he currently was in Japan in the top league at the coaching the Honda Heat. So an interesting addition for the San Diego team. Any thoughts on the new head coaching hire, Colby?
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, the Legion are a team that found success during the early years of the MLR and kind of fell off this year. So interesting to go to the change rather quickly, I would say. I mean, we saw Rugby United New York have success when they parted ways with Mike Tolkien and brought in Greg McWilliams. So we'll see if the Legion can sort of replicate that a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's something you're seeing in the league, just how important that position can be. Specifically, I think the director of rugby side of things, you can get, coaches with good X's and O's sense, but, we saw the kind of impact it had in Seattle this year when they made a change. Keys Lensing was the head coach. And I think Houston made a similar adjustment in this offseason, bringing in a new director of rugby. So, it's programs looking to kind of get somebody who really, really knows the game to lead things. And I think, you will see Danny Lee definitely has the resume. So, we'll see if he can bring the Legion back to where they were. But I mean, again, I think they just suffered really from injuries this year. That squad is impressive. They have a lot of really talented guys on that team, young guys, internationals. So I think they can pull it together next year. I'm excited to kind of see their resurgence, hopefully, next season coming forward.
And I'm definitely not saying, just to be clear, that Mike Tolkien did not do a great job. I mean, he led Rugby United New York to the semifinals in the MLR, but I just think that they kept up that level of play with Greg McWilliams as well.
Right. We don't want to upset Mike Tolkien right off the bat here in our third episode of so no disrespect. Come on the pod, Mike, if you want to refute Colby's claims. We're always open. We have anytime you want to talk. But, something I think that could be good for a resurgent San Diego side next year is that draft that we keep talking about. It's coming up very shortly. Just some viewing details for the listening public. It starts at 6:30, and the first hour, if you're in the U.S., is going to be broadcast on Fox Sports 2, FS2. And then after that first hour, the rest is going to be on the Rugby Network. Internationally, the whole thing is going to be on the Rugby Network. So you have a couple options, and that's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when that starts. So make sure you tune in. Get that first hour. Should be the first round, I'd imagine, with some prep time. But it will be out there. The draft order that we're going to have is what it's looking like right now. Dallas will pick first, followed by Houston and Seattle, then Toronto, the Toronto Arrows, then the San Diego Legion. We had a trade that I had seen reported on the Goff Rugby Report as well as America's Rugby News, but New York has traded into Old Glory DC's slot there after San Diego. So they'll have 2 first-round picks. So New York in that slot, followed by Austin, and then New England, then NOLA, Rooney again, and then Utah and Atlanta, and rounding it out is Los Angeles, the MLR winners in 2021.
Yeah, Zach, and while we're on the topic of the MLR draft, let's bring in the kid. Let's bring in Aaron Gray. Let's get to know him. Man, I appreciate you doing this, coming on, giving us your time. I know you're a busy man these days.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling me.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow is a big day. for you and for a lot of college athletes, the MLR Draft is obviously tomorrow, and you're going to have the opportunity or the possibility of going to a professional team.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're somebody that played at a huge university in Kutztown, a very historic rugby college under a historic and legendary coach, Doc Jones, with a lot of great players. We obviously haven't met before. This is our first time talking.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious, like, how did you, initially enroll into Kutztown? Like, what went into the decision to go play rugby there? And how do you think your experience there prepares you for this next step in your career?
Yeah. So it was a crazy story, kind of. I actually started off at Will Jesuit University. That's the first school I went to. Yeah, that was right out of high school because my high school coach, he went there to go coach. So I was there for about a year, and I didn't really like the culture of it. I didn't like the school, and I didn't like where it was. So when I was in high school, Kutztown they were talking to me. They kind of wanted me to come out there, but I didn't go there straight out of high school. So after that first year, Will and I hit up the coach from Kutztown. And this was like a few weeks before school started. I hit him up and was like, "You still have any spots for me in Kutztown?" Stuff like that. So he got back to me right away and he set it up. And like a week later, I was enrolling in Kutztown. So that's how that happened. I only knew one person there, which was Damonte Noble. We were playing together since high school. So I was talking to him a little bit. So that's how that Kutztown happened. So.
And it ended up working out for the best, it looks like.
Yeah. It's brought me like so many opportunities that I feel like maybe Will couldn't have gave me. Yeah, it's just I've been a lot of places to play rugby, and it's all because of Kutztown and just giving me that exposure and different opportunities.
Yeah, and you brought up Damonte Noble. I mean, he's a guy that obviously was a dynamic player in college, had a nice little run with Old Glory this year in his first rookie season in the MLR. Talk about what it was like playing with him, and I guess being his teammate was like. Just because, like, I played, Iona, Kutztown, we played against each other. He was just like, he's the guy that we circled, when we were about to play you guys, previewing that matchup. And so just talk about like what that aura around Noble, like what was it like being his teammate?
It was great being his teammate because we already been friends since 10th grade of high school. So our connection was already there. We played on like 4 or 5 teams together before even going to Kutztown. So I feel like we're always connected and we just have that same mindset. So I feel like we work really well together. So I really enjoy playing with Damonte. Great guy on the field and off the field.
Who's got better footwork?
Man, it's up to y'all, man. I don't know. I feel like,
that one up. Fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like we're both pretty good at it. So
definitely.
Damonte's got a year of MLR, pro level training under his belt. So,
yeah. So,
but Damonte's in DC. You're in the DC area. Is that where you'd really want to go on draft day, or is there a club that you really want to hear call your name on draft night tomorrow, or would you play anywhere that kind of calls?
Yeah, I will play anywhere that calls because I feel like if a team wants me, that just makes me feel even better about wanting to go there. So I don't really have a preference on what team. I'm just ready to go. Whoever calls my name, I'm ready to play.
That's what's up. And how have you been staying ready? I mean, obviously there's been a big layoff since the last college rugby season because of the coronavirus pandemic. So what have you been doing physically? What have you been doing mentally to keep yourself ready for the possibility of playing pro rugby in a couple of months?
Yes, all summer I've been playing sevens. Played for a team called Beltway Elite in the DMV area. I go to the gym almost every day, every other day, just trying to stay fit, keep my cardio up, strength training, stuff like that. So I'm fit. I'm ready to go. I got one more semester at Kutztown coming up, so that starts next week. So I'm just ready to play.
And Aaron, I've watched the highlight tapes and I've really enjoyed watching the highlight tapes and watching you just make people look absolutely ridiculous, trying to bring you down. You're an elite finisher, obviously. how well-rounded do you feel like your game is outside of that explosive ability on offense? I mean, is there anywhere like you're working on or hope to improve at the next level, or do you feel like you're a total package heading into the league?
I feel like I'm a really versatile player, but I do have some stuff that I do want to work on, such as kicking, and want to become a more dynamic player by kicking. I feel like I have the physicality to play on defense, the speed to keep up with the pro level MLR players. So I feel like if I add some kicking to my game, then I'll be pretty much well rounded at the next level.
So I want to like touch on some of like your workout stuff. Like, what's your go-to? You know, you're waking up, you got to get your workout in. Like, what does your day look like between like rugby skills and like in what you do in the gym? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so at the gym, I always start my workout off with a mile run. And then I usually do CrossFit training. So I don't go to the gym saying I'm working on arms and back today. I do full body. And I learned that from our strength and conditioning coach at Kutztown. So I've been doing that ever since then. Just working on every muscle of my body. Maybe not at a heavy rate, but get a lot of reps in. So I do that, do my workout, and then I end it off with another mile just so I can keep my cardio up. And then I have a field by my house, a nice turf field. So I do that's why I do my field sessions at, working on like agility and kicking and just getting sprinting on the field and stuff like that. And one of my favorite workouts, which is non-rugby related, is playing basketball. I feel like that's the best cardio, running up and down the court for hours. So that's where I really get my cardio in at.
There is nothing like basketball shape. Nothing like being in basketball shape.
Yeah, Colby's got a pretty solid intramural team he's playing on. He's too modest to talk about.
See, why you lying, Zach? Why you lying to the man? We suck. We won one game. We just got knocked out of the playoffs, man. We need someone like you, I guess. We need some help.
I love basketball.
What kind of like? What are you, a point guard, shooting guard?
I'm like a 1-2 guard. I'm really a shooter. So, but I'm kind of a playmaker too. But I'm really a shooter. So I'll say the 2 guard.
And when did you decide kind of rugby was the sport for you, or what is it that you kind of love about rugby that kind of sets it apart maybe from some of the other sports you grew up playing?
Yeah, so I started playing rugby in 10th grade. So I actually was kind of a baseball. That was my number one sport. But the school I moved to didn't have baseball anymore, and they happened to have rugby. So that's where I learned about rugby. And ever since then, it's been my number one sport, like over football and basketball, anything. I just like the versatility of it, how you can do so many different things, and kicking, passing, offense and defense, like all at once, you know, not taking any breaks and stuff like that. So that's the part I love about it.
Is there anybody that I know, Zach, you kind of wanted to ask him this, but is there anybody maybe in the MLR that you watch closely that you maybe like to model your game after, or was there anything interesting that you saw from this past season, if you were following Major League Rugby at all?
Yeah, I was definitely following it. If I was watching a lot of different positions, I like how Damonte came in, making an impact at the wing. I've been watching a lot of young players like Ryan James from LA. I love his game. Cecil Africa, Mike DeBoulis, all these different like fullback and wings, trying to see different positions. So not just like focusing on a wing. So maybe I won't just play wing. So I want to be able to play multiple.
It was interesting. Damonte in another interview on Rugby Wrap Up said that Mike DeBoulis was the fastest player in DC, which like shocked some of us to think about. But he's got some wheels, so I don't know if you think you'd take him in a foot race if you did run against him. But
I mean, I'm up for the challenge. But
did you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say we played against him like during college and stuff, and he played like fly half, so I didn't really get to see his wheels.
What was it big for you to like see a pathway to kind of pro rugby in the States, and you know how important is the draft concept and like the fact that there's a pro rugby league? How did that change, your approach to the game, if at all? Like, did you say like, oh wow, now maybe I have a chance to kind of do this at a really high level at some point, or has it always kind of been a goal to get that going?
Yeah, so it's been huge that this pathway has been created. I feel like this was always a goal of mine, just to play professional rugby, but I never really thought that I would have a chance to play in the MLR like 15s, because coming into rugby, I was more of a sevens player. So over the years, I've been trying to develop my game, trying to be good at sevens and 15s. So once I heard about the draft and stuff, it just gave me hope that I had a chance to play at the next level in 15s, not just sevens.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you definitely have the ability to, and I'm sure I don't need to be telling you this, but your game is just dope. It's fun to watch. You play an exciting brand of rugby, and I just can't wait to see what your future holds. Hopefully, we could see that race with Mike Deboulis at some point if you cross paths with him.
We want exclusive rights as the Drink Up podcast to televise that, though. So, like you be the first friend of the pod, Aaron, if you let us in on, when you guys line up. We'll get that on camera.
I'll make sure you're the first to know.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, yeah, that wraps up everything I wanted to ask you, my man.
Appreciate it.
Are you excited about tomorrow night? Like, what, is it going to be a huge thing? Are you going to watch? Like, how are you going to, how big is it for you to kind of see this moment?
This is so huge for me right now. I might not look like nervous right now, but literally the past 10 days, I can't even sleep at night. Like, I'm so excited and nervous at the same time, because I literally have no idea what's going to happen. It's not like I have any insight on where I'm going or if I'm even going, but that's why I'm just excited and nervous at the same time. I'm so ready for tomorrow. We're having a watch party at my house with my family and friends, so hopefully.
Well, good luck, man. Yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
That's what's up. Yeah, wishing you the best of luck for sure.
Appreciate that.
Wow, well, thanks so much to Aaron Gray for taking the time, sitting with us. I thought that was a really great conversation, Colby. I'm excited for his future in the league, and I'm glad we have a new friend of the pod now. So I'm happy to have him back on, anytime.
Yeah, really cool dude, really down to earth, seems to be working hard, seems to be excited. Hopefully he can get some sleep tonight. It's crazy. I can't imagine what he's going through, but I'm very happy for him. It's always good to see a brother having success in rugby. And so I wish nothing but the best for him.
And so that same feeling he has for the draft is what I feel every time I sit down to record this podcast with you, Colby. It's just like the biggest 30 minutes of my life every time. So I thank you for sitting down. I thank the listeners for coming in. If you guys want to be a friend of the pod, make sure you rate, make sure you subscribe, make sure you review, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Drink Up Blog, follow at me, Lanning Zach, follow at Colby Marshall. What's your Twitter handle, Colby? Tell the fans.
Colby Marshall 2 on Twitter.
At Colby Marshall 2, follow the legend. Follow us wherever we go. We're going to be churning out A+ content like this all the time. So thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of The Drink Up, the College Rugby Pod, the best one that's out there, hosted by Colby and Zach. We definitely won that. So tune in again after the draft. We're going to have a reaction pod. Hopefully have a special guest on there for you guys to kind of react to some of the picks. That'll be Friday. Make sure you glue to your computers for that. Your phones. You're going to want to see that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Colby, thank you again, and thank you all. And we will see you on Friday later this week.
Go Gales!